Good evening, everyone. It's so wonderful to see all of you here with us this evening. And we have a very special guest, but let me introduce myself. And tonight what we're talking about is how we can define what healthy living means to you and your family. It's either taking back your health or improving your health. And one of the exciting things that we feel is so important, I have spent a good part of my life being passionate about being a part of the solution and not a part of the problem. And our guest speaker tonight is someone who shared that message with me many years ago. And we want to help you evaluate your health and wellness lifestyles, how you can develop a follow-up opportunity with us, because we'll be hosting some other events. And I want to make sure that we're muting everyone. So please look at your screen and mute yourself. If you're not muted, I just muted a few people, but I don't want to have to look at muting everyone. So please mute yourself so there's no background noise.
I've got it, Joanne.
Thanks, Scott. So I call myself the mindful mentor because I believe that mental, physical, and nutritional health are instrumental along anyone's journey to success. And I'm honored to be your host in this workshop this evening with my good friend, Carolyn Whiteman. Carolyn Whiteman, we'll call her our pure performance Olympian.
Wow. Wow.
She's from Islamorada, Florida, a graduate of Stanford University. After being a congressional staffer and a member of the Peace Corps in the South Pacific, she asked herself when she came home, what is next? And her passion is for being a part of the solution, which has led her to the world of prevention. Her influence has helped her produce generations of healthier homes and more vibrant people, including more than 100 pure performance Olympians. So what I'd like you to do is sit back, enjoy in your home, in the privacy of sitting in your own home. And I have my little refreshing drink here, free of charge. Carolyn's going to share a terrific presentation that I think will be very helpful for each of you to not only learn from, but also to share with others. So Carolyn, let's turn it over to you and your PowerPoint.
Great. Thanks, Joanne. And thanks to all of you. Scott, am I shared?
There you go.
Yes, you are.
All right, great. Well, thanks to all of you for taking part of our evening tonight. And thanks especially to Joanne and Terry for the hosting and for all of you for being here. Our intention tonight is just to create some curiosity, open us up to some possibilities. And when we finish, the request is that whoever invited you here, make a point of reconnecting with them, because whatever your questions are, hopefully there'll be questions or like, tell me some more about this. So we're going to really go quickly through some of these ideas, but I start with, I believe that what we all represent is a career with a conscience and being able to create a life that matters. And that life, as I get my screen to move forward, which it did before, but hang on a second. Well, Scott, I'm not advancing. What is not advancing? There we go. Okay, so I introduced my husband in, we were in our dress clothes, but we really believe that if we are not part of the solution, we are part of the problem. And this, as Joanne mentioned, is really what drives us and in the mission of what we do. I get to introduce also some more of my team's valuable supporters. On the right is our son Topher, who is currently the captain of a privately owned 63-foot Viking sport fishing boat, which is in the Dominican Republic. His report from last night was that they caught 16 blue marlin in the past 4 days. So he is entertaining the owners and having a chance to travel the world. And that on the right or on the left is our is our golden retriever, who's called Skipper. So our questions are, these are some of the questions that we believe that our prospective customers and our business partners may not actually ask, but they're things that they want to know. And these are divided up into several categories. So first of all, let's talk about our purpose. Our purpose for me, and I believe that is shared by many of us on this call, is to empower many generations of powerful thought leaders to be money smart, to be savvy consumers, and to be entrepreneurs. And this is guided for me in a world that is really surrounded by a lot of frustration and anger, that it's inspiring for us to be able to partner with others who focus on the future, on creating excellence, on offering solutions for some of life's great challenges like health and like finances, and on being aligned with others who share these visions. So the philosophy, as we introduce our chosen manufacturing partner, which is Shaklee Corporation, the Shaklee culture is really one of teamwork and of paying it forward. With our 60 plus years of extraordinary achievements and partnerships that the corporation can celebrate, and this is a heritage that really can't be duplicated by any other company. I can't imagine any way that this could be developed on its own. So just for example, when there's no margin for products that don't work, take a look at the kinds of these great adventures that were powered by Shaklee products. And those include the American ascent of Mount Everest without oxygen, nonstop flight around the world, polar expedition, and since 1993, all of the space shuttle flights were actually used. The astronauts actually used one of the special contract products that was provided by Shaklee products to hydrate them. And that includes also 147 gold, silver, and bronze medals that have been won at the Olympic Games. It's a pretty extraordinary kind of heritage, but it's also added to with 100% commitment of the corporation to the planet, leading the environmental movement by example. Shaklee is the very first company in the world ever to be climate neutral certified, which means that they offset 100% of the carbon emissions that are generated by a close to $1 billion international corporation. And that includes the airplane flights and how they air condition the buildings and all of that. So it's a pretty extraordinary model that has been set. Then we look at the proof. The proof is really the science. And this is the science with 100 years really of innovation. And this is not just experts for hire, but this is over $300 million that's been invested in research and development, with over 70 patents and patents pending, with products that, from the corporate standpoint, they say the products are safe, they're effective, and they're green naturally. So with 100 plus years of innovation, actually Dr. Shaklee invented the multivitamin back in 1915. And if you look at the sequence of the kinds of products that Shaklee has actually pioneered and introduced, it's pretty extraordinary. Also, the concept of certified purity, which is what Shaklee refers to as beyond organic. And one of the ways to say that is that organic farmers are not really required to test their finished goods for pesticides or for heavy metals. And that's one of the things that Shaklee does with very extensive testing that's done before those raw ingredients are actually used in any of the products. So Shaklee has actually set standards for the industry on what these safety and testing standards are. There are 4 different steps that they go through for certifying the purity of the new botanicals. And those 4 steps include over 100,000 quality tests that are conducted every year. Over 100 scientific publications, which is really the gold standard. And each of these publications, they're respected, they're legitimate, they're peer-reviewed. This is the kind of groundbreaking research study that's available that's really advancing scientific knowledge about nutrition and health. So the company we've chosen is not just a pretty face, but it's a company that's really advancing science. All kinds of support research on many of the different product areas that have been published. And this is probably one of the coolest ones, and this is what's called the Landmark Study. And this is a groundbreaking study of long-term dietary supplement users, which probably includes some of us that are on this call, that showed that people who took Shaklee supplements for 20 years and now soon to be released for 30 years and more had markedly better health results than people who took either just a Brand X multivitamin or no supplements at all. So we can take a look at that group took little or no medication. They rated their health better. They had lower rates of dementia. They had much better scores on different kinds of cardiovascular and metabolic health. And so, for example, some of the key biomarkers, if you look at HDL cholesterol, this is something you want to be high. And if you look at the 3 columns, the left is the Shaklee supplement users. The middle is people who were a control study of people who just used a Brand X multivitamin. And on the right is the non-supplement users. So here you want a high score. So here are the markers for the other comparisons. And then here's the Shaklee supplement users. Here's triglycerides, where what you want is a lower number. So the non-supplement users, the single vitamin users, and you take a look at how much lower the Shaklee supplement users were. C-reactive protein is a marker of inflammation. And so the non-supplement users, here you want a low mark, and you take a look at where the Shaklee supplement users were. So there's really proof that consistent use of the products that Shaklee provides actually do provide those long-term results. I think this is very impressive to have as the chairperson of the scientific advisory board that Shaklee works with, someone with pretty impeccable credentials. She's a Nobel Prize winner in medicine. And one of her comments is, when she's talking about Shaklee, she said, changing brands really can change your life. And her comment is that the Shaklee population is remarkably healthier than the general population, as shown by 2 different studies. The Landmark study that we just referred to on long-term nutritional supplement users, and also the Telomere study, which relates to longer-term health and so on. Then we talk about the possibilities. When we talk about possibilities, this is where, as we go through this, what I'd like to invite you to do is think about people for whom these issues are a concern. And if you've got a piece of paper, dash down the name of somebody that you're thinking about, because this is what people are surrounded by. First of all, the world is changing. For people who don't recognize that, this could be tough times. But for those who do recognize it, we really have some options at making a big difference for people. So as we look ahead, how are we going to maintain family health and build economic security? So what if you, each one of us that's here tonight, could have a positive impact on offering some choices and information for families that may be managing the kinds of issues that are in these random topics that follow? So just be thinking about who is in your family, in your neighborhood, in your schools. First of all, obviously, we can be much more effective when we're not sick. So our focus is all on prevention. I look at this slide and gosh, we all can think about times when we've been to a ball game or been to Disney World and we've seen kids that look like this. And so here we've got, I'm going to weigh 300 pounds. And we take a look that across the country, there are 6 million kids already that are seriously overweight. This is like one of those stunning pictures that doesn't have a name, except that after a 2-year loan to the United States, Michelangelo's David is being returned to Italy with the sponsorship of some of the fast food companies that have caused us as a general nation to be actually a lot heavier than we were before, or than many other populations are. When we take a look at ADHD, the combination of ADHD has actually doubled in the past decade, and this is a trend that has continued to rise, where 9.4% of all US children are being diagnosed with ADHD, and roughly 5.2% of all children in the United States between the ages of 2 and 17 are currently taking ADHD medication, according to the CDC. So these are issues that are just so broadly noticed. What about autism spectrum disorders? They have actually increased by 9,000% since 1980. And as I've mentioned to some of you before, I have a very close friend who is an educator who is specialized in the areas of working with kids that are impacted by the autism spectrum. And she asked me to speak to some of her junior high school students. And when we showed this slide, she looked at it and she said, that is absolutely right. She said, those are the kinds of changes that there have been with kids that I've been dealing with as an educator. This one you kind of get to laugh at, but gosh, how many people are dealing with parents or with kids that are having to rely upon different kinds of medications to deal with these kinds of issues? What about food allergies? They now impact 2 kids in every classroom, and there's a life-threatening allergic reaction that sends someone to the emergency room once in every 3 minutes. Good grief. And then we look at outside of the United States, companies make very similar products to what we have, but with very different ingredients. So you take a look at just classic old mac and cheese. The picture on the left is mac and cheese with all of the ingredients. The same product in the UK has basically got 3 ingredients. The same thing is true when you take a look at fries. In the United States, these same fries contain 17 ingredients, including something I can't even pronounce, whereas in the UK, McDonald's fries only contain 3 ingredients. I don't know what that's relevant to, but we can certainly begin to draw some conclusions or take a look at how this may be impacting health. What about gluten sensitivity? I never even heard of that a few years ago, but now we know that it's twice as prevalent in the past 40 years, and it is actually more common than Parkinson's and RA combined. So non-celiac gluten sensitivity now affects 10% of the population and maybe more. And we look at the kinds of symptoms that may simply be related to some of the things that are in our food supplies. What about the issues of early puberty? Why is it that girls seem to be growing up faster? Is it hormones? Is there something in the food or the water? But these are issues. I personally know 2 people whose families are dealing with this, with young girls who are not even yet teenagers. This is a really sad one. 1 in 2.5 people will be impacted by cancer, and 9 years ago it was 1 in 10. I mean, just extraordinary kinds of disturbing numbers. And then, golly, do we really need Roundup in our food? So here we are with residues of glyphosate, which are showing up in the plates of foods that we're eating regularly. Here's one with Cheerios. Here's goldfish, different kinds of oatmeal cookies, pita chips and so on, with the amount of glyphosate, which is Roundup, that's actually showing up as a residue in the foods that we're routinely eating. I don't know about you, but that's not one of those herbal spices that I particularly would relish having in my foods. And then when we look at dinner 100 years ago, was really farm to table. And dinner today now, there have been a lot of additional seasonings added to what it is that we are eating and consuming. Dangers of food dyes. We deal with genetic modification of plants and animal foods, artificial dyes, colorings, and flavorings, bovine growth hormones that are fed to cattle to increase their weight gain, or fed to chickens that, you think of a chicken being this nice little thing, and then you end up with chickens that have got chicken breasts that are this big. I wonder how that happened. So we are what we eat. So we look not to be fast, cheap, easy, or fake. We're looking to be savvy consumers. But in addition, what are the impacts of what we're breathing, how we care for our skin, how we launder our clothes, how we clean our homes, there was an extraordinary number of poisonings and from exposures of household products that just happen routinely in families. And we look at how some of these household toxins may be affecting our family's health, and they may be affecting, this is a diagram that you could look at more closely. The handwriting on the top is the handwriting of a student who had been exposed to Pine Sol and Lysol that were the disinfectants that were being used around the room. When those were removed, the same child's handwriting is what was in the middle. And then when they were reintroduced, look at the handwriting again. So some of these things are things that we look at how they're impacting our kids, our families, and our lifestyle. And then think about all those different chemicals that have been used. The 84,000 different kinds of chemicals that are used in household items. They're mix and match and, flavors and fragrances and spot removers and all of this. A very small number of them have been tested or regulated by the FDA, and they are not currently really being looked at, nor is anybody really deciding, well, if I use this one and combine it with that one, what is it doing to how I'm using products in my home? Then there's the changes in handwriting with the introduction of chlorine bleach and how much bleach impacts us, how much as we wash our clothes or wash the clothes of our children, what is left in those clothes that they're going to play soccer in, they're going to dance in, they're sleeping in, it's in their pillowcases. What are the impacts that those may be having on behavior and on their immune system and their ability to function? And then we take a look at the other concerns, and that is the concern about money, our cash flow. Our family lifestyles are really under assault because there's so many families for whom there's really too much month at the end of the money. This slide, I'll read out loud if someone is not looking at it because it just gives me chills to think about. I have a master's degree, 16 years of experience. I work 2 extra jobs and donate blood plasma to pay the bills. I am a teacher in America. And when we think about the people that are most important to us, to our kids, to our communities, and how financially, what a struggle it is for them to manage their finances while doing the really important jobs that we all know we respect so much. What about the oppression of student loans? 11% of student loans are in default or at least a year behind. And here's one of the things: you can't discharge student loans. And one of the challenges of this is there's a $5 trillion college debt now in student loans. But here's the other issue. Sometimes this is the student, and sometimes this is the parent or grandparent who has co-signed on a student loan that is still carrying that loan as they may go into their retirement years. This is an ode to an Uber driver that I had that was in Colorado. He was a young, probably late 20s, really nice guy. And I said, "What are you doing driving an Uber?" He said, "Well, in my other life, I'm a paralegal and I work at the courthouse." And I looked up his income. It was over $50,000 a year. And he said he was driving as an Uber driver to pay off $30,000 in student loans so that he could start his life without having that kind of financial burden. But he has friends that have gone on to law school that had student loans that were into 6 figures that would take decades to discharge. So people are actually looking to be entrepreneurs of some sort to get out of the real rat race of their financial issues. Teachers and community professional support, people that are committed to the kinds of services that we so respect in our communities, are struggling financially. And having 2 working parents can really stretch family life. Millennials, 70 million plus millennials, almost 1/3 of them are still living with parents. 4 in 10 are swamped with debt. And the ones that are living with parents, you can be pretty sure they're not living there because they love to. They would probably love to be out living the nice singles life, but they can't financially afford it. What about the sticker shock of raising a family? A family, one who is raising young children, can expect to average about $14,000 per year per child raise their kids, and that number only covers from birth through the age of 17. It does not include college expenses.
Mm.
What about baby boomers? 76 million plus of them that are financially challenged. Many of them have diminished savings and investments. They have shrinking job possibilities. Their medical expenses are on the rise. And then here's one that I think is really important, is the tax laws have changed, and they've been changed to support people who own businesses. Many people are looking for that tax refund at the end of the year, but actually that tax refund is their own money. And so one of our consultants that does tax advice has a very interesting quote, and it says, "You would be brain dead not to start a home-based business, because everyone who's employed should have some sort of a home-based business, and if you don't, you're losing thousands every year." So this is just opening up ideas about some of the financial choices. So what about the plan that we get to work with, the compensation plan? Well, you can take a look at the income possibilities. There are people on this call that represent probably all of these different ranges. And this is anywhere from someone who enters the baseline level of being an entry-level business owner with an income of, say, $10,000 plus a year, all the way up to someone who chooses to have more of a business focus and with incomes that go clearly close to seven figures a year. So there's income that's possible for people who are choosing to look for an entrepreneurial venture. And I think these pictures just are kind of fun to look at with the same kinds of numbers. What about our profession? And our profession is what we call network marketing. Now, these are questions that people may not be asking you, but they're questions that are in the back of their mind. Is this like one of those things? Is this like one of those illegitimate pyramid things? And what we'd like to say is that the profession of network marketing is actually a multi-billion-dollar profession globally. It is not an illegal pyramid scheme. It is a very powerful way of capturing one of the most effective things that actually, for example, probably brought you to this call tonight. It was because someone invited you. And it was someone who was a friend, someone who you knew, someone who, one of the most trusted ways that we look for information is for someone that we know and that we like and we trust. How do we find the guy who's going to fix our shoes or fix our car, or what school do my kids go to, or where do I get my hair styled, or who do I trust to do work on my home? That's what network marketing is, and this is simply a way to professionalize it so that for us, this is not just direct selling, which is reaching out with one product at a time, but this is actually the power of being able to create a business venture that is represented by many of us that are here on this call. If this is something you are looking to understand more about, we're very proud to have a custom edition of a book called The 4-Year Career, which really goes into the finances and the details and the legality and the nuances of actually creating a legitimate network marketing business. What about the partners? As people look for maybe the questions that have come up for you about, well, what product should I use, or how would I start a business venture? One of the biggest things that is in the back of people's minds is, who the heck is going to support and mentor me? Because very commonly the answer is, well, just go to the website, follow the links, buy this package, you'll be able to do, just go talk to everybody you know. And we will all, those of us who are here to be your mentors, will be the first to tell you that that is really a flawed expectation. What we want is to have a mentor that can be with us on a daily basis with those kinds of questions, depending on the size of business and what your objectives are. So who are some of the partners that we get to look up to? These are people that have actively supported the profession of network marketing. Two of the twin astronauts were guests at part of our conference a couple of years ago. And as you see on the right, Captain Mark Kelly was there with the Vitalizer strip, one of the Shaklee products that he took with him. That's up there in space. Which leads me to, I have to show off this picture because it's one of those things that gives me chills to think about, because this was a picture that was taken at one of our conferences where we were able to be photographed with Commander Mark Kelly, who was the astronaut who was the one who had just landed this space shuttle on its final mission. He had flown 4 different missions up to the space station. And here we are in front of the guy who flew it, in front of the space shuttle that had done it. And I don't know about you, but that just kind of gives me chills about the kinds of people that you get to be surrounded by that are partnering and supporting us in our profession. This number, 137, is actually 146 prestigious gold, silver, and bronze medals that have been won by Shaklee-powered athletes at the Olympic Games. And what's important to me about this is there are 2 things that I believe our customers want, and that is that they want products that are safe and products that work. And there's no better way to validate that by simply saying 146 Olympic medals. First of all, the products have to be safe, or they would never have been able to get past drug testing. They would never have used these products while they were training and at the games. And secondly, you've got products that work because you've got world-class Olympians that have produced the kinds of results that you just can't duplicate. In addition to that, there are just some of the few world-class expeditions that have been supported by Shaklee and Shaklee products. So this was the world record for human-powered flight that was powered by the same Shaklee product that's called Performance, that we can actually drink as a hydration drink. I mean, it's pretty extraordinary what these products have been and the science behind them. This is kind of a fun picture just from, gosh, like 3 or 4 weeks ago. Some of the people that are on our team, including Barb and Ray Madoran, that are on this call. And this is just a few of the pure performance athletes. But I don't know about you, but it's kind of fun being surrounded by 5 Olympians, including 1 bronze and 3 gold medalists. And you can see there they are with their gold medals. And I don't know about you, but it's just kind of extraordinary to be able to have one of those things in your hand and to realize that you're around and surrounded by people who have shared your commitment to the products that have helped to make those things possible. These are just some of our other powerful supporters and partnerships. This is Richard Bliss Brooke, who is the author of the book, The 4-Year Career. I've had the opportunity to know and work with Richard for over 20 years. It was a really wonderful opportunity to meet him, and he's a very strong supporter of not only our profession, but also of the Shaklee Company. The opportunity to know and be around people like Tony Robbins and Sir Richard Branson. They are very active supporters of the profession of network marketing. So when you want to know who are people that that are mentoring you or can support you, these are kind of fun ones. And this is Pitbull. Just people who understand and appreciate the value of the profession that we are in. So last and not least, what about the products? These are some of the products that make a difference in people's lives. So they include products like the multivitamin strip with 25 patents. The product in the middle called Vivix, 26 scientific studies that talk about it. The different kinds of vitamins that have just powerful science background. These are not just casually put together products. These are things that are real and tested and are backed by the best of science, including things like the delivery system on the multivitamin, which that little diagram on the left, you can go get a handful of vitamins and swallow them down and see what's on the label, but you have no idea of what has gone in your mouth and where inside the system those things have been digested and absorbed. So it's backed by patents, by effective studies, by all kinds of things. So these are not just casually put together products. This again, the multivitamin strip that is part of one of the basic programs that we like to start people with. And again, the science behind 10 times this product called Vivix is 10 times more powerful. If you've heard of resveratrol, it's 10 times more powerful than just resveratrol alone in slowing a key mechanism of cellular aging. This isn't like casual stuff. So when we talk about what are the solutions that we can offer, we have the opportunity to clean up our home and our planet with green products that, because our home can be the safest place on earth, so it can be cleaned up with a very, very narrow product line of Shaklee products that are safe and powerful and green. We have the opportunity to use products on our skin that nourish the largest organ of the body, the skin. And I love this. This is a very high quality skincare line, which not only clinically shows that 100% of those who use this were proven to have younger looking skin when they used it. And 2/3 of them shifted their skin age to a younger decade. But here's what's impressive to me. As you look over in the middle of the slide, inside of these products, there is a list of 2,500 ingredients that are not in these products, that are just far too long to list. And I think the closest that any other brand can come close to is like half that number. So it's a very impressive high quality commitment of standard for science and for quality. And so this is one of the things that you can talk to whoever invited you, a very simple way to test for yourself, to start with what we call the Prove It Challenge, which narrows down some of the product selection to just a couple of things. That includes the multivitamin strip, it includes the protein shake, and for those who start with this package, they actually have the opportunity of starting a 7-day healthy cleanse, which is just part of kind of restoring, jump-starting our health to a good place and being able to prove that it actually works. So when we go back to our purpose is really to empower generations of powerful leaders. And you can see now why we talk about being money smart, being savvy consumers, being entrepreneur thinkers, because what our customers are really looking for, the people that are our customers, they're looking for products that have two things. They're looking for products that are safe, and they're looking for products that work. So here you've got 74,901 tests on raw materials and on the finished product of just one product alone, which is the protein shake. And then again, validated by the fact that our Olympians are the ones who really test the products for us. So who are our customers? Our customers are people that are smart. And I like to say they're smart enough to be looking for the kinds of products that we have that are safe and that work. Not everybody is in this category. There are places you and I can think of going that probably you would not find a good selection of people that were particularly concerned about these issues. But that's not who we're looking for. And that's not the market that we get to serve. So we get to serve the market of people who are smart enough to be looking for what we offer, and who are busy enough to be able to stay loyal as customers. So when they find exactly what they want, they become like many of us on this call. They become people who have become repeat customers literally for decades. So I know that we can get overwhelming with information, drowning in information, but really starving for wisdom. But what we all represent on this call is, I love this statement from Simon Sinek, working hard for something that we don't care about is called stress, but working hard for something that we love is called passion. So as Joanne mentioned at the beginning of the call, our purpose is really, we wake up every day to inspire other people to do what inspires them. So as we look at our purpose, if these are things, if these are commitments that you have that align with ours, then ask us how we might partner to be able to expand our global impact. And this really comes by going back to whoever invited you and saying, gosh, tell me some more, answer some questions for me. That's really what our purpose is here. So if you'd like to take a look at the possibilities of being in a business that's consistent with your core values, that provides choices and solutions for family wellness, because that's what we're getting paid for, then with this taste of these concerns that are impacting so many people, what if your career, even part-time, could be focused on impacting choices for people so that it could be a career with a conscience? So, Joanne, back to you. Thank you for the opportunity, and let me.
I'm good. Thanks, Carolyn. Thanks, Carolyn. And you definitely are a pure performance athlete in explanation and giving us the full impact of what Shaklee offers us. And for those of you that are customers and consumers on today and not people that are looking at entrepreneurship, because I've invited a number of new customers to join us, know that we provide a consumer-based product that can provide all the benefits that Carolyn has shown you. In addition, we will be continuing I'm calling our once a month segments, the Rising Road, because we're all rising our standards. We're all rising our observation and thinking of what we can provide, not only for our own families, but for the people that we'll be connecting with. So the third Wednesday of every month, we will be continuing this series, except in September, it will be the fourth Wednesday. September 24th will be a follow-up to this presentation, and it's going to be on how do you feel today. So for those of you that have customers that you know, or people that you know that maybe aren't feeling as great as they'd like to, or maybe you want to share more information about what Carolyn has shared. You know, what we do is provide information, not information that will overload or overwhelm people, but educate and assist people to improve the quality of their life. So September 24th, we will do our next webinar. And then every third Wednesday of the month, we'll be hosting a similar event. This presentation will be recorded, and we do feel that what Carolyn has provided tonight, and as I said, she is a pure performance Olympian in my eyes. Thank you, Carolyn, because she kind of puts in a whole package in a little over 30-minute time, all the elements of things that we all need to think about, that we can share with other people, how we can be a part of the solution and not a part of the problem. So I will have that available to you. And then one other thing is we're hosting a potluck luncheon at our new home in Warrenton, Virginia. So if you're near us and would like to join us, it's going to be on September 21st. So with that, I want to thank Scott Holdren for being our IT man tonight to record this and to make it available to everyone. So, and thank you all for joining us. And we appreciate each and every one of you to be a part of the solution. Thank you so much.